In the air to right, and he did it again!
Welcome back to the Lefties 2 broadcast, and as you can see from the thumbnail, we're talking about which catchers are the best for each pitcher. So this isn't a ranking from pitcher to catcher, whatever. You could check out those videos, but this is my opinion for each pitcher, common, rare, epic, legendary, which three catchers are best for them. So it's a pretty long one. Stay tuned. Again, you guys can agree, disagree, and there might be a little overlap here. But let's get into it. First and foremost, we're going to go to the common pitchers first. My guy, James. The OG pitcher I've used oh so much. ERA still under, pretty good. All right, so here is his third pitcher. Again, this can work for anybody. Third catcher, number three. The third catcher I would use with James. Now, again, James being a common pitcher, one of the first kind of commons, Michelle is your first typical common pitcher you get in the game. But once you get James and you're a new player, I suggest Murray as number three. Because what's going to happen when you're a new player, you're going to need offense. Hence why Miniclip, right, nerfed Murray. It's because a lot of the newer players use Murray because of that offense. And as an epic, he's going to be able to have the most power as well as a Gibson and a Kevin, but you might not get Kevin for a while. So Murray's my number three. It's not going to help him. It's not going to help James improve, but that's what I think. All right, number two, once James gets a little bit going and you get him leveled up, you got to add that accuracy because James is control 171. Jessica is going to help him get there, and that is what's going to be needed for help you dot that two-seamer that James has. All right? And the very first catcher that you need to get, once you get everything leveled up and good to go, is Nia. Right? Nia, as we all know, helps that spin. And with the velocity and movement James has, adding 30 spin is going to make him, 214 if my math is correct? It's going to make him keep that ball in the field of play. And Nia's going to help James out so much. All right. Moving right along, we're going to Michelle. All right. So Michelle, let's take a look at her stats real quick. We didn't do that with James, but at the beginning at least. But here we go. So she has solid control, terrible velocity, movement and spin above average. All right. So my suggestion, once you get this guy, it might take a while, but Carlos is going to be a great spot for Michelle, right? Because of her slow velocity, a lot of steals are going to happen off of her. So being able to take away a hit and run, or at least a stolen base, is going to be essential to keep the people off the base pass with their slower speed. All right, next, and again, I did mention some potential overlap, is Nia. Once again, look at her spin. Adding 30 spin to this, making it 223, is going to make her excellent, right? That's my opinion. Keeping the ball in the ballpark with these common pitchers is going to be great. Because again, with only three pitches, they're easier to read, in my opinion. All right, with Michelle, her best catcher, in my opinion, is going to be Matthew, right? She already has that excellent control. You know, people can argue. Let me add Jessica to her. But adding velocity makes her a well-rounded pitcher overall, right? That's my opinion with Jessica. All right, so let's go to... Where's he at? Am I blind? I am absolutely blind. They're all there. Eric. All right. Let's kind of again look at Eric's stats. He's got no control, low on movement, a little bit average. Velocity and spin is where he's at. So again, I'm gonna go with Carlos here as that third option, adding that offense. Because what's going to happen with Eric is he's a fastball pitcher, which means his ERA is going to be high no matter what you do, especially when you're playing bots. Real players, you can keep your ERA lower. Playing bots with fastball pitchers, they're going to get home runs because you're going to have to throw in the strike zone. So adding Carlos is going to add that extra power and keep off those stolen bases that bots can actually steal off Carlos. Unfortunate, yes. Unfortunate, yes. All right, the next catcher I recommend when you get the opportunity with Eric, again, no control. So what you're going to need is to add Jessica. Getting that a little bit more control is going to allow you to dot that I, essentially, right, with that four-seam fastball. It's going to be crucial. And, of course, his spin is already amazing at 203. So what do you do? So what do you do with someone's attribute, excellent attribute, is you make it better. So what you do is you go ahead and you add Nia. There you go again. Again, there's a lot of overlap. You're not going to see some of these catchers at all, and I'll explain after this, of course. You already know in some regard. But Nia is going to make Eric keep that ball in the field of play, making him that much more dominant. All right, so those are the common pitchers. Let's go. Let's go to the rare. We're starting off with my boy Garcia. All right, so Garcia, check out his stats. He is probably one of the most well-balanced pitchers in the game. 190 control, velocity, and movement. So what's going to happen with him? Of course, we're going back. Once you get someone that's kind of well-balanced, what do you need to do? You need to add the power, right? So Carlos is going to be able to take off those runners. And there's going to be a lot of overlap. That's why we're going fast as we can to cover all the pitches. All right? Next, what we want to do is we want to make Carlos or Garcia a little bit better. So we add Matthew. Adding that extra miles per hour, it's going to help that sinker pitch and that four-seam, which makes that curveball so much more deceptive. Right? And of course, what is Garcia's weakness is his spin. And that is why I love Nia here. That makes him the most balanced pitcher in the game when you add Nia to Garcia's repertoire. All right, keep it going. Keep it going to my girl, Yuna. All right, so Yuna, take a look at her stats, right? Control, money. Velocity, pretty solid. Movement, and spin. There is yet to be a catcher that adds movement. Okay, so Yuna. Again, let's put this on repeat. Carlos, Yuna is going to give up home runs, especially to bots. Look at that. ERA 6.3, 67 win percentage. I think it's a little higher than that. But again, when you're giving up home runs to bots with her, because she's not, again, four-seam fastball is going to get killed, and you're going to need a little extra offense, in my opinion. Carlos adds that power. All right, next, she has the velocity. So what we're going to do is we're going to speed her up, right? Add a little bit more velocity. But again, it does change the fastball speeds a little bit. It gives you it gives you 2 speeds, right? So you can have a little bit more deception. And of course, her weakness here is her spin. You need to keep the ball in the field of play, and Nia is that catcher. So add Nia. That's going to help out quite a bit. All right, so now we're going to J-Ho, my guy J-Ho. All right, so J-Ho stats. They increased his control and velocity. So that makes him a little bit better when it comes to dotting his eyes, because he doesn't have any straight pitches at all. But the third pitcher to use, or catcher, excuse me, to use with J-Ho is going to be Matthew. Matthew is going to add to that velocity, making him a little bit more powerful, which I think is pretty good. And again, giving him a little bit of deception of changing of speeds, which definitely helps with that forkball, in my opinion. Next, you're going to give up runs with J-Ho, unfortunately. He does give up the bombs, so why not add the offense? Carlos is going to add the offense and take down the runners. That is where to go. And of course, on repeat, we're getting a theme here. It is Nia. Once again, right? That's who I think needs to add. He already has solid control. Don't need to add more with Jessica, but you need to keep the ball in the park. All right, there you go. That is the rare pitcher. The rare pitchers. Let's move it on to my guy, Fernandez. Not my guy, as we all know. I hate Fernandez. But he is still a catcher. So let's check out his stats real quick. Again, he's level 11. So as you can see, he's solid in velocity, right? His control is the last thing you need, right? So what you need to do here is we need to go ahead and add a little bit more offense. Because what's going to happen is, in some cases, if you're a bitch and you pitch with the Fernandez skill like a bitch, you need to add a little bit more offense. So Angelina comes in finally, and she's going to add offense to everybody in the game, add that extra contact, which is going to be crucial in those really close matchups that you're going to have potentially when you're playing and pitching like a bitch here. With Fernandez. All right? And, of course, keeping the ball in the park, because what's going to happen, you might mess up, and you got to keep the ball in the field of play. And, of course, when that ice arm comes, it makes the ice arm even more deadly. But with his lack of control, we finally have a return of Jessica. Jessica is going to be able to add that increasing ability to make Fernandez hit that location with that fastball a little bit better, in my opinion. All right, now we're going to Caroline. All right, so Caroline, again, control is on top of it. Velocity, movement, above average. Spin is below average. So again, she's going to give up those home runs to those bots. So you're going to go and add the offense. Right? Carlos adds that offense. Next, we're going to go add the velocity. Right? Her velocity is a little bit low. So you can add that velocity on top of that control. It's going to make her that much better. And again, as we know, her spin is whack. So again, you guys, Nia is one of my favorite catchers in this game. Spoiler alert, I know. But Nia, she's going to be the one that you want to add to her to keep that ball in the ballpark, especially that forkball / slider. It's going to keep it there. All right. Next up, Mueller. Let's go, Mueller. All right, let's keep it right there. Mueller stats. All right, 184, velocity, movement. Again, no catcher yet. Hint, mini clip. With movement added. So spin. So we're going to add more spin to it. Just keep that ball in the field of play, because Mueller does give up some bombs, even though he does have that high spin. All right. So next, we're going to go for the next catcher. Is, of course, Matthew. Adds that velocity, is at 190 already. So that's going to make him a little bit more deceptive, of course. And we know that Mueller's control can be improved. So where do we go? We go with Jessica. That's going to add him a little bit more, adding you to help locate that two-seam and that sinker. Because again, you don't want to throw that changeup in the zone. Not really a good idea there. All right, one of my favorite pitchers in the game, Mei Ling. Check out her stats. Control, velocity, already solid. And spin is her weakness / her skill, if you can get that initial strikeout. So let's go add some more. There we go. Keep it right there. Jessica is going to, of course, add that control, which makes her a little bit more deadly. Get that extra K, dot those forkballs, in my opinion. All right. Next, we're going to add. We need to add spin. Nope, we need to add power. My bad. So Carlos comes right back up, right? Carlos is going to add power. You're going to give up runs with her because of her inability to keep the ball in the field of play. So number one, of course, is Nia again. Nia helps out these pitchers so much. Again, when you're trying to keep it at a 1-0 game, keep the ball in the field of play, or even keep that power hitter from hitting a 2-run home run, Nia's going to help out so much. All right. Next pitcher is Jay, my guy Jay. All right, tough guy. So Jay's stats, right? Control is money. Velocity, nowhere to be found. Movement, not great. Spin, amazing. All right, so Jay, gonna add extra control, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna be able to dot that pitch. In a two-seam changeup forkball, you want to have that good location. That adds to Jay's deceptiveness. All right. Next, what you're gonna do is you're going to add Nia, right? Keep that spin in even more, right? Because again, he's slow, so slow, and that's going to keep his balls from leaving the yard. And of course, his weakness is his velocity. So let's make it a strength. Add Matthew in the game, which again allows him to have 6 pitches instead of 3. Which again makes Jay that much more powerful. All right, now we are in legendary mode. Let's go to Shotaro. All right, so Shotaro, his stats go as follows. He's at pretty solids, like all around, right? So control is money at 203, 190 velocity, which we know increases every strike. Movement is his weakness. Again, no catcher, again, we talk about it, doesn't add to movement. And then spin right there at 200. He's a pretty solid overall pitcher, one of the best in the game. So let's keep his ball in the field of play, and we're going to have Nia as his catcher. All right, and then let's go add to that control. Next up, of course, we're adding to the control. Jessica is a solid player. Helps locate that sweeper, helps locate that splitter that much more effectively. And of course, here is the other aspect. Go put Carlos for Shotaro. You don't need to add more velocity with Matthew. You could, but spoiler, I think Carlos is a great match here. Keep the runners off the base path. Because what's going to happen when you have a solid pitcher, a lot of hit and run, so you want to be able to keep those runners at bay. Okay, Carlos is the man here. All right, let's go to Murdoch. Let's check out his stats one more time here. Again, his his control, 219, one of the best in the game. Velocity, nowhere to be found at 162. And then his movement, that's the best in the game too. We're in a solid movement, 200 movement. And then his spin at 181 when maxed out. So the third, right, we're going to make his strength even stronger, adding to his control with Jessica. Makes him hit that curveball, right? That curveball and changeup come into play oh so beautifully, right? Okay, next. Here's a little one right here. Carlos, again, his slow, right? So you want to be able to keep those runners at bay, keep those runners right where they're at. And again, because you're going to get a lot of hit and runs here when it gets that 2 strikes. So this is where to do it. Keep those runners right where they're at. Carlos is the guy. And of course, let's make his, again, we're making one of his weaknesses here. We could have gone Matthew, but I think keeping him slow is going to benefit him overall in this. So keep the ball in the ballpark, especially on those ground ball 2-strike pitches. Nia's going to help out. Quite a bit. All right, Let's go to Josh, the new one. Again, you've seen the video already, but let's go play the game, right? I like Jessica. Because again, his control is kind of one of his weaknesses at 184. 184 is still pretty good, but adding that is going to add a little extra boost. Number 2 here, I like Angelina. If the opponent has Josh also, you're going to need all the offense you can get, and Angelina is going to help everybody in this situation. So getting those 1-0 matchups, this helps out extremely well. And of course, we're going back to keeping the ball in the field of play. 30 extra spin on the pitches is going to help out, keep that ball from hitting home runs. All right? Let's go to my girl Maria. Okay, Maria, let's check out her stats here. Control money, movement money, velocity, not great, spin, not great. You know where we're going with this probably. So let's make her control even better right out the bat. So Jessica is going to keep her control. Next, here's a spoiler. We're going with Carlos once again. That's my idea. Add some offense to her. Game. And then we're going back once again to Nia. Right? Nia is going to help her out, keep the ball in the field. Her biggest weakness is, in fact, her spin. I like the fact she throws that changeup so slow, so we don't really need to add too much velocity there. I don't think it's not going to help. It's just going to make it the better hitters hit it farther. All right? High velocity, no spin equals ball going far. So Nia adds that spin is great. Next, we're going Roger. So Roger here, all right, check out his stats. Control, nowhere, movement, above average, velocity and spin pretty solid here. Okay? So we're going to keep it right there with Nia at number 3. Nia's going to add that spin, keeping those fastballs in the field of play, as always. Of course, Roger, we're going to add that offense with Carlos. Because, again, what happens is some people can't hit Roger's fastball. So those hit and runs, when you're using auto bat, I don't use auto bat, but some people do, is going to help out knowing when the fastball is definitely going to come. So that Carlos is going to keep those runners right where they're at. And of course, you need that extra control. So Jessica is going to help pinpoint Roger's fastballs and help him be a little bit more deceptive. All right? Let's go to my guy, Wade, the nerfed man himself. Wade, check out Wade's stats here. 175, so sad. Velocity, so sad. Movement and spin are great here. So Wade, again, his spin is already one of his better attributes. Why not add a little bit more spin? Nia at number 3. Next, you're going to add the control because the game took it away. All right, so Jessica's going to play a part here. But as you guys know, I like Matthew at this spot, number 1 for Wade. Wade, because again, adding that velocity, bringing it back in, changing those pitches, right? You don't have to pitch in the Matthew spot every time. That's what I think. All right, next up, we got Riley. Okay? Riley is the where to go. So let's see. Riley, check out his stats. Controlled, nowhere. Spin, terrible. Right? Velocity, movement is great. Makes him one of the best hardest hitting pitchers in the game, in my opinion. So Riley, we're going to use Matthew. Add extra velocity on top of velocity. Is going to be great here. And again, next up, we're adding Nia, because again, his spin is low. So if you do eventually make contact, it's going to be a home run, right? In my opinion. And then lastly, let's add fuel to the fire, make Riley hit his location even better. Jessica is the way to go here. All right. All right. Last pitcher in the game. Here it is. Right? Control low, spin low. But that's it. Just have Rose. That's it. Rose. All right. Yeah. Okay. So if you really want to use her, but you don't have Rose at all, that's fine. Let's go. We know her spin is pretty decent. So, pretty decent at 184. Let's make the spin a little bit better, adding 30, which thus makes her velocity, movement, and spin amazing. Okay. And then we can go ahead and add that power, right? She's already fast. Adding Matthew doesn't really help. You could add Jessica, whatever, but we're not adding Jessica. Carlos is number 2. You're going to give up runs with her, especially with bots. So why not hit some home runs with your catcher? There you go. And then again, as we just saw, Rose is Marie's catcher. That is the list. Long video, like I mentioned before. But that's it. What's your opinion? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. See you guys next time on the Lefties 2 broadcast.